What about our kids? That's the question that I've gotten from folks, maybe people like you who have stopped going to church. And to be honest, I've wondered it for myself too. And in this video, which is the last of a series of 3, by the way, we're going to explore a powerful way to pass on a loving faith to our kids. And it's not about where you go on a Sunday morning. But before we get to that, hi. My name's Corey. I'm an ordained minister and a church planter, and I'm the pastor at RedeemerOnline.Church, the channel that you're watching right now. And it's my mission to help you understand and practice the Christian faith, especially if you don't go to church right now. If that's something you're interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you want more than just videos, then check out the links in the description below. All right, back to passing on the faith to our kids, especially if you don't go to church. The Apostle Paul once gave these instructions to a church he planted. And if you're not familiar with Paul, he authored a lot of the documents in the New Testament and had this dramatic transformation in life. He went from being a Christian murderer to becoming a Christian missionary, a church hunter to a church planter. And the hinge of that dramatic change was encountering the resurrected Jesus. This experience filled him with grace and mercy and a whole new sense of purpose. And one of the churches that Paul started was in Ephesus. And in a letter to that church, he wrote these words: "Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord." The Lord there is a reference to Jesus. And in the Ephesian context, training and instruction were the father's responsibility. In today's context, this responsibility belongs to whoever's responsible for raising the kids. If he wrote today, Paul might say, parents, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. This raises an important question, though. How did the Lord Jesus train his followers? What did he instruct them? You see, Jesus' training method was immersive. Author John Mark Comer says that Jesus invited people to do 3 things. 1, be with him. 2, become like him. And 3, do what he did. In other words, Jesus knew that far more would be caught than taught. Did Jesus give lectures and preach sermons? Absolutely. And we should pay attention to those teachings as well. But the most impactful moments were when Jesus modeled his teaching for his disciples. So yes, Jesus taught that you should forgive people 70 times, 7 times. But the disciples saw Jesus offer forgiveness to those deemed unforgivable by the religious leaders. They shared meals with Jesus as he told stories about a God who was like a loving father, desperate to welcome his wayward children home. But those meals were shared with a bunch of non-religious, wayward children. Jesus said it was better to live a life of generosity rather than consumption, better to give than to receive. But he didn't just say it, he demonstrated it by giving his life for others. Jesus taught that the difference between the ins and the outs would be about how we care for the poor, the hungry, and the hurting. But his disciples saw him do exactly those things for at least 3 years. Jesus taught that in order to be great, you need to become the servant of all. But he modeled for his disciples that there was no act of service beneath them when he washed their feet. He taught them that they would suffer, but he modeled what it looked like. Jesus experienced betrayal, intense stress, public humiliation, wrongful accusations. He understood human suffering intimately. And all throughout, Jesus' message was consistent. You are loved, so love one another. That's what Paul wants parents to teach their kids, not just through words, but through actions and the environment that they create. I mean, imagine the next generation growing up in a faith-saturated environment, constantly hearing, you are loved, so love one another. You are loved, so love one another. What if kids grew up knowing that they were loved unconditionally like that? What if they didn't just hear it, but they felt it, they experienced it, they saw it? Imagine our kids saying to their own kids, hey, we care for our neighbors because that's what Jesus did for us. Or, hey, your suffering isn't proof that God doesn't love you. God loved you so much that he entered into human suffering to be with us. That's the story of Jesus. He's been there, and he's in there with you, whatever you're going through. And so am I. Or, I know it's confusing and unsettling, and you're not sure what to make of these feelings, but know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Before the universe was created, the God of it all called you his own and loves you. Friends, Yeah, tell your kids what the Lord did. Teach them his way for handling suffering, money, love, or faith. But remember, far more is caught than taught. The Christian faith isn't just some stories to believe. It's meant to be lived. So above all else, model a loving faith with your kids. Let them see it in your actions, hear it in your words, and feel it in the environment that you create. And remember, you too are loved. So love your kids. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful or meaningful, hit the like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more. All right, we'll see you next time.